performing her single, If Your Girl Only Knew. Put your hands together for Aaliyah!
Aaliyah is in heaven. So we lost her on earth, but we're going to see her again. And her music that God put in her heart for us will always be with us forever.
You won't believe what happened to Beyoncé's biggest competitor, Aaliyah. Aaliyah was on the edge of becoming one of the greatest stars the world had ever seen. Her music was everywhere and her talent was undeniable. But what really happened to her just before her career could reach its peak? Tune in as we uncover the shocking truth that changed everything for Aaliyah forever. Her rise, her impact, her legacy. The Princess of R&B was much more than just a singer. She was a trendsetter, a musical innovator, and a beloved cultural icon whose influence extended far beyond music. But what happened to her? Why do so many people still refer to her as a major competitor in the music industry, despite the fact that she never directly faced off against other top stars at the height of her career? And how did her tragic and untimely death change the course of music history, potentially opening the door for another artist to rise in her absence? Before we delve into this, it's clear that the truth behind Aaliyah's story is far more shocking than anyone ever expected, and what comes next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Born on January 16, 1979, in Brooklyn, New York, she was known to the world simply by one name. Though born in New York, her family moved to Detroit, Michigan when she was just 5 years old, and it was there that her love for music began to blossom. From a very young age, she showed immense promise as a performer. Her natural singing ability combined with her charismatic stage presence set her apart from other children her age. Whether singing at family gatherings, participating in school plays, or performing at local talent shows, she had a magnetic charm that captivated audiences.
You make me smile with your heart.
Her first big break came at the age of 10 when she appeared on Star Search, a popular TV talent show that had launched the careers of many future stars. Though she didn't win the competition, it was clear to everyone watching that this young girl had something special. Her talent was undeniable, and even at such a young age, she displayed a confidence and poise that was well beyond her years. Shortly after her appearance on Star Search, her career took another leap forward when her uncle, Barry Hankerson, a prominent figure in the music industry, introduced her to R. Kelly. Kelly was one of the biggest names in R&B at the time, and he became both her mentor and the lead producer for her debut album. In 1994, at just 15 years old, she released her first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, under Jive Records and Blackground Records. The album was a massive commercial success, but it was also surrounded by controversy due to her close relationship with R. Kelly. Rumors swirled about an illegal marriage between the two when she was still a minor, and the ensuing scandal threatened to overshadow her burgeoning career. However, despite the controversy, her talent was undeniable, and her debut album showcased a young artist with a unique sound and a style that was unlike anything else on the radio at the time.
Here I am, and there you are.
Songs like Back and Forth and her cover of the Isley Brothers' classic At Your Best, You Are Love, became instant hits, propelling her to the forefront of the R&B scene. But it wasn't just her music that captured the world's attention. Even at a young age, she had a signature style, one that would soon become iconic. She often wore baggy pants, oversized jackets, and crop tops, blending a tomboyish aesthetic with undeniable femininity. Her fashion choices were as unique as her voice, and soon young girls across the country were emulating her look. In a music industry that often pushed young female artists to embrace a hypersexualized image, her style was refreshingly authentic, showing the world that a woman could be both strong and elegant without conforming to the stereotypes of what a female pop star should be. By the time she released her second album, One in a Million, in 1996, she had fully come into her own as an artist. Her collaboration with the now legendary production duo Timbaland and Missy Elliott marked a turning point not just in her career but in the entire R&B genre. With Timbaland's innovative production and Missy Elliott's visionary songwriting, her sound took on a futuristic quality that set her apart from her peers. As her music and style grew, she started changing things in ways no one saw coming, leaving a mark that would continue to shape the industry. the album that changed R&B. One in a Million was an album that defied expectations. It fused traditional R&B with elements of hip-hop, electronic music, and even jungle beats, an experimental sound that was ahead of its time. Songs like If Your Girl Only Knew, Four-Page Letter, and the album's title track, One in a Million, showcased her ability to deliver sultry, smooth vocals over cutting-edge production. The album was a commercial success, selling over 8 million copies worldwide, and it solidified her status as one of the most innovative artists of her generation. But beyond the music, her influence on fashion was undeniable. In the late 90s, she became a fashion icon known for her sleek, edgy, and effortlessly cool style. She often wore baggy jeans, crop tops, bandanas, and oversized sunglasses, a look that was a bold departure from the overtly glamorous and sexualized image that many female pop stars of the time were adopting. Her tomboyish yet chic style resonated with young women who saw in her someone who was unapologetically herself, someone who could be feminine and strong without conforming to industry expectations. Her fashion choices were not just about aesthetics, they were a reflection of her personality. She wasn't trying to fit into a mold, and she wasn't following trends, she was creating them. Her look was a blend of streetwear and high fashion, and it's no surprise that even today she is cited as a major influence by designers and fashion brands alike.
She's just looking fabulous. What are you wearing tonight?
I'm wearing Gucci shoes, Gucci. Got a little Indian jewelry working.
Oh, that is hot.
Thank
All right.
you.
She redefined what it meant to be a pop star in the 90s, showing that women in music could embrace their individuality and express themselves through both their music and their fashion choices. Her influence didn't stop at fashion and music. She was also a trailblazer when it came to music videos. Her videos, often directed by some of the most innovative directors in the industry, featured striking visuals, sleek choreography, and a futuristic aesthetic that set her apart from other artists at the time. Videos like Are You That Somebody and We Need a Resolution were not just promotional tools, they were artistic statements that further cemented her reputation as an artist who was always ahead of the curve. As the 90s came to a close, she was at the top of her game. She had 2 successful albums under her belt, countless hit singles, and a devoted fan base. At the same time, a young singer was emerging as the lead singer of Destiny's Child, a girl group that was quickly gaining popularity, with hits like Say My Name and Bills, Bills, Bills. As her star began to rise, many in the media began to speculate about a potential rivalry between these artists. On the surface, it seemed like the 2 stars were destined to be competitors. Both were young, beautiful, and immensely talented. Both had strong ties to the R&B genre, and both had the potential to become the next big solo superstar. But while the media was quick to pit the 2 against each other, the reality was that they were on very different paths in their careers. She had already established herself as a solo artist long before any comparisons could arise. While Destiny's Child was gaining momentum, she was already a household name, having achieved success with her debut album and her groundbreaking sophomore release, One in a Million. And while both artists were rooted in R&B, their styles were vastly different. Her music had a futuristic, experimental quality, while the other artist's sound was more traditional, drawing on gospel, soul, and classic R&B influences. In truth, there was never any real evidence of a rivalry between her and this rising star. The 2 artists seemed to respect each other's talents and never engaged in any public feuds or competition. In fact, there is little to suggest that they saw each other as direct competitors. She was carving out her own niche in the music industry, one that was defined by innovation, style, and a willingness to take risks.
Say that.
Aaliyah. It's Aaliyah. Aaliyah.
It's the female version of Ali.
Ah.
The other artist, on the other hand, was still finding her footing as part of a girl group, and it wouldn't be until several years later that she would truly establish herself as a solo artist. Her impact on music and fashion was clear, but the full meaning of her legacy didn't come until after her tragic death left a space no one could fill. A star gone too soon. That being said, it's hard not to wonder what might have happened if her life hadn't been cut short. Could she have become as big a global superstar as her contemporaries? Would the two have collaborated or competed for the same spotlight? These are questions that will forever remain unanswered, but it's clear that she had the potential to reach even greater heights in her career. And while there was never a real rivalry between the two, it's impossible to deny that she was one of the most influential artists of her time, an artist who in many ways paved the way for others to follow. On August 25, 2001, the world was rocked by the devastating news that she had been eliminated in a plane crash. She had just finished filming the music video for her song Rock the Boat in the Bahamas and was heading back to the United States when the small private plane she was on crashed shortly after takeoff. All 9 passengers on board, including her, were eliminated instantly. Her death was a tragedy that sent shockwaves through the music industry and beyond. She was only 22 years old and her career was still on the rise. Fans around the world were heartbroken by the loss of someone so young, talented, and full of promise. She had already achieved so much in her short career, but it was clear that she had so much more to give. The world would never get to see the full extent of her talent and creativity, and her death left a void in the music industry that would never truly be filled. The investigation into the crash revealed that the plane was overloaded with passengers and luggage, and the pilot was not licensed to fly the aircraft. It was a tragedy that could have been avoided, which made the loss even more painful for her family, friends, and fans. In the years following her death, her family and legal team sought justice for the negligence that had led to the crash, but no amount of legal action could bring back the beloved singer who had been taken far too soon. In the days and weeks following her death, tributes poured in from fellow artists, fans, and industry professionals. Many described her as a kind, humble, and down-to-earth person who was dedicated to her craft and always sought to push the boundaries of her art. Artists like Missy Elliott and Timbaland, who had worked closely with her throughout her career, spoke about the deep bond they had shared and the profound impact she had on their lives. For fans, Aaliyah's death was a heartbreaking reminder of the fragility of life. She had been on the verge of even greater success, with plans to continue her music career and expand her work in film. She had already starred in the 2000 film Romeo Must Die alongside Jet Li and had been cast in several major film roles, including a part in the Matrix sequels. Her death not only robbed the world of an incredible musical talent, but also took away a rising star in the world of film and fashion. Even though her life and career were tragically cut short, her impact on the music industry is still felt today.
What you knew is that she had a love for music and that she was always intrigued by it.
She left behind a legacy that continues to inspire artists across genres, and her influence can be seen in the work of some of today's biggest stars. In many ways, she was a pioneer, a forward-thinking artist who was always ahead of her time. Her willingness to experiment with different sounds, her unique sense of style, and her quiet confidence set her apart from her peers and made her a role model for generations of artists to come. After her death, her self-titled third album was released, featuring hits like More Than a Woman and We Need a Resolution. The album was critically acclaimed and further solidified her status as one of the most innovative and influential artists of her generation. Even though she was no longer physically present, her music continued to speak to listeners, and her legacy lived on through the art she had created. While the world grieved her loss, the effects of her absence made room for new stars, changing the path of music forever. The sound that changed music forever. One of the most significant ways she shaped the future of R&B was through her collaborations with Timbaland and Missy Elliott. Together, the trio created a sound that was unlike anything else in the music industry at the time, a sound that blended futuristic beats, smooth melodies, and her soft yet powerful vocals. This sound would go on to influence countless artists in the years that followed, from Beyoncé and Rihanna to Normani and Tinashe. Her ability to blend genres and push the boundaries of traditional R&B helped pave the way for the genre's evolution in the 2000s and beyond. But her influence wasn't just limited to music. Her impact on fashion, film, and culture as a whole continues to be felt to this day. Many of today's biggest fashion designers cite her as a major influence, and her iconic style is still referenced in collections and runway shows. Her tomboyish, streetwear-inspired look has become timeless, and her ability to seamlessly blend masculine and feminine elements in her wardrobe continues to inspire new generations of fashionistas. Her presence in film was also groundbreaking. She had proven herself to be a talented actress, and her role in Romeo Must Die was just the beginning of what was sure to be a successful film career. Her performances in both music and film demonstrated that she was a multifaceted artist, one who could excel in multiple areas of the entertainment industry. Her legacy as a performer, fashion icon, and actress remains a lasting testament to her talent and creativity.
You're an errand boy for my father. Like nothing.
Fair enough.
It's impossible to discuss her legacy without acknowledging the impact her untimely death had on the careers of other artists. In many ways, her absence left a void in the music industry, a void that Beyoncé and others were able to fill. While she and Beyoncé were not direct competitors during their lifetimes, the parallels between their careers are hard to ignore, and her death undoubtedly had an effect on the trajectory of Beyoncé's career. When she passed away in 2001, she was at the height of her fame. Her third album had just been released. She was starring in major films, and she had plans to continue expanding her career. In many ways, she was on the verge of becoming an even bigger global superstar. But with her sudden death, the music industry lost one of its brightest stars, and a space was created for other artists to step into the spotlight. Just 2 years after her death in 2003, Beyoncé released her debut solo album, Dangerously in Love. The album was a massive commercial success, earning Beyoncé 5 Grammy Awards and launching her solo career to new heights. In the years that followed, Beyoncé's career skyrocketed, and she became the global superstar we know today. While it's unfair to say that Beyoncé's success was a direct result of her death, it's hard not to wonder how the music landscape might have looked if she had lived. Would she and Beyoncé have competed for the same spotlight? Would their careers have intersected in new and interesting ways? Or would they have collaborated, creating new music that blended their unique styles? These are questions that will forever remain unanswered, but one thing is certain: her absence left a significant gap in the world of R&B, a gap that Beyoncé and other artists were able to fill. In many ways, her death forced the music industry to re-examine the ways in which it treated young female artists. Her passing was a wake-up call, reminding the world that even the most talented and successful stars are not invincible. And while Beyoncé's career flourished in the years following her death, there is no doubt that her influence can be seen in Beyoncé's music, style, and approach to artistry. One of the most frustrating aspects of her legacy in the years following her death was the legal battle over her music catalog. For many years, her albums were not available on major streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music due to ongoing disputes between her estate and her record label, Blackground Records. This made it difficult for new generations of fans to discover her music and fully appreciate the impact she had on the music industry. Is Aaliyah's tragic story just an unfortunate accident, or is there something more that we've been missing all along? Could her sudden death have been part of something much bigger that no one wants us to know about? Tell us what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.